Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Fair Life with Andrew McKee here on this March the 4th, 2024. And yeah, yes, last weekend was my first weekend of Fair this season, so I'm pretty wiped. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired. Oh, it really kicked my butt hard. Really did. Learned a lesson there. But hey, Kathy and Kevin, and Alicia's on. Excellent. And Harvey. Yeah, I know. I really try to take care of myself. I took some allergy meds as preventative maintenance, and that helped. Allergies have been bothering me more and more the last couple of years, and normally it's at the end of March, but yeah, I have a voice. It's not 100%, but it's not bad. I'll take it. I'll take it. We'll call it a victory. But yeah, it was a really rough weekend for me. I Saturday really kicked my butt. Really did. But then I got a good tip from a friend of mine, Vince Conway, who plays hammered dulcimer, and he suggested. He told me about a trick that he learned from some acrobat friends of his. Yeah, they were doing all of these crazy contortionist stuff on stage, and he just said, how are you doing that every day? That's crazy. And apparently they told him that what they do is they take 3 ibuprofen um, the night afterwards and just and drink a lot of water, and then the next morning they feel fine. And I was just kind of like, okay, I'll try it. And I was pretty sore Saturday night, but I did that. I drank a bunch of water, took 3 ibuprofen, and next morning felt good. So Sunday, it wasn't too bad. I guess it just, it keeps the muscles from getting inflamed and just relaxes you and allows you to sleep comfortably through the night. And yeah, your muscles aren't really that sore the next day. I I had, yeah, it was a good trick, and I'm glad I did it. I thanked him Sunday morning for it, by the way, too. Yes, very good. Oh, and Janine, hey, great. And Damaris and Jan, hey, I saw Jan this weekend. That was great. And Dan, yeah, hey. Wow, a lot of people. Uh, yeah, allergies are not the best. Totally agree with that. Uh, I'd never really had allergies, and then a few years ago at Sherwood, I uh, I had these sinus problems. It was just getting worse and worse, and finally, I lost my voice at Faire, and I had to do something about that. So I just started thinking, what's going on? Nothing's working. And then I thought, wait a minute, could this be allergies? I've never had allergies. Okay. So I did the research and tried different medications and figured out what worked for me. So I've been kind of getting ahead of it ever since. Okay, yeah, okay. So you know that trick. Yeah, that's good. I'm still learning. It's a process. It is a process. Right. Yeah, and everybody's different. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned about medication, it's that there is no one size fits all. Everybody's bodies are different, and while there's a norm that a lot of people respond well to, that's not universal. So I'm not going to throw any stones there. Yeah, I probably don't want to know, honestly, Alicia. That would be scary. Woo! Well, I do want to say that it's March the 4th, so a happy birthday to Antonio Vivaldi. And famous musicians of the last 1,000 years, I try to give a nice little thumbs up to now and then on this show. So, yes, he was born in 1678 in Vienna, and famous composer, wrote, I guess his most popular piece would be The Four Seasons. So, yeah, if you like classical music, you've probably heard Vivaldi at one point. So yes. And the other thing is, yeah, now that you're watching, if you could go ahead and share on Facebook or subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. I'll go ahead and throw up the graphic just because I feel obligated to, since everyone else does. But there you go. So yeah, please share on Facebook if you can, just to get the show out a little bit. It really does help. Um, Oh wow, we went there. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. And yeah, I couldn't agree more, Harvey. It is really, really great music. Sometimes I'll just jump in and play some of that on the recorder while I'm at Faire, just because I get bored and I just start doing something. Because why not? Why not? Wow. Alpha, that's a weird one. Um, interesting. Well, I'm glad you're not allergic to anything in the field, because yeah, that is your livelihood a bit, so I understand. Whew. So yeah, Faire kind of kicked my butt a little this weekend, but I've learned. In the off season, I really wasn't very active, and I think back to Louisiana last year at the end, and I'd been pretty active all year long, and I'd go through each weekend after weekend feeling fine. Monday, no problem. I trained myself up to it. It wasn't a problem. Then the last 2.5 months or so, I really haven't been very active, and that was my mistake. So from now on, in the off season, I'm going to make sure to continuously get good exercise so that I never lose that again, because I don't ever want to go through that again. And it's probably better for me anyway, so it's a win-win. There you go. I like it. Oh, Vivaldi is not your favorite, huh? Well, I mean, that music is art. I mean, it's a matter of taste. There's no right or wrong here. You like who you like, and that's understandable. Not a problem. Okay. But yeah, let's see. Other thing is I'm looking. I did do some testing over the weekend and trying to find out what I could do as far as recording some of the groups out there. Just a few tests, and I think I can show you something of that. Here, hold on. Let me see. Here you go. Here's a little bit I got of the Tolston Troubadours, and yeah, definitely if you're out at Sherwood, check them out because they play some great music. But yeah, they were kind enough to go ahead and just do a couple of tests with me at one of the stages, just to kind of see, okay, let's just try this, and from that, see what I need to do in the future. And I definitely need to improve the audio a little bit, and definitely, I think, improve the video. So what I did was I ordered a GoPro, and I'm thinking about mounting that on the back of my pack basket. And it can just fold down when I'm not using it, and then fold up when I want to use it. And I can put the pack basket on one of the benches, use it as a stationary camera, and then use my phone as a moving secondary camera that I can get close-ups of and go from camera to camera during the recording, when I'm going back. So when I'm in the editing process. So I think it can get a really good quality video. I mean, this is just raw footage. It's not even enhanced or anything like that. That's just very basic stuff. But right? I know. Yep. Yep. And that is, if you're curious, that is Damaris in the middle. So there you go. Yeah, learn something new. Yes, but no, they're great. So thank you again, Damaris, and the rest of you that for helping me out with that. Hopefully we can get some good stuff next week, and I should get the GoPro in before the weekend, and I can test that out. I won't have much time before the weekend, so I may not get something for a taste of Faire for the following Thursday, but I'm pretty sure I'll have something by the next Thursday at the very latest. So coming along. So we talked about that over the last couple of weeks, but it is moving. We are working on this and trying to get that going. Yeah, and that's one of the things I looked at. Originally, I was going to get some more audio devices that also do video, but try to get really good audio out of them, like one of the Zoom models. And it did, the video just wasn't up to par for me. That was the main complaint. The audio was great, video, So I think the better route is to just get a GoPro for the good video. And it does pretty good with audio too, but I can also use a dedicated digital audio recorder and get good audio as well, and then just merge them together. It's not that hard. It is an extra step, but I think worth it. Yeah, Andrew Gadget. Well, no, Alacia, you've been doing what you need to do. You've been recovering from some stuff, so you get a pass on that. Don't worry. But yeah, no, this is, I think this will work out really well. So again, thanks guys for helping me with that. I think it worked out really well. But yeah, that was a good test and everything. So just, yeah, look for a taste of Faire soon. Let's go ahead and, well, yeah, I mean, I'm actually gonna try to keep the show tonight around 30 minutes. I know I didn't really believe me either, but I'm gonna try because the last two shows have been excessively long. The two shows ago, it was almost an hour, and I'm gonna try to be better with that because I've been bad. So I'm gonna try to be better. I will. I will. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that support. Hey, now, come on. I'm good. Man, well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. Here we go. Okay, so let's jump into. Let's just get another segment and see if we can get this in the time. Let's go ahead and do the monthly Renaissance word, and this is going to be interesting because this I found this very fascinating. The monthly Renaissance word, believe it or not, is one you're all familiar with, and it's British, right? Okay, that's you're not wrong, Alicia. You're not wrong. But yeah, British. And the interesting thing here is in America, we tend to use the word British interchangeably with English. British, English, pretty much the same thing. But in a lot of other places in the world, and especially in Europe and Great Britain, they do not. It's considered very impolite to say English in general, really. So you generally say British for everything. But here's the rub. British is not appropriate for Ren fairs, whether medieval or Renaissance, because at the time, it really wasn't used anywhere. And okay, so let's jump into that real quick. Okay, then Z knows exactly what I'm talking about because it is British. So, okay. But the definition is the natives are inhabitants of Britain, or adjective belonging or relating to the United Kingdom or to its people of culture. And that's the thing. It relates to the United Kingdom. Well, what does that mean? That means Northern Ireland, England, Wales, and Scotland. Well, when did they all become united? And that was in the early 1700s, after the Renaissance and medieval times. Before that, British was not a word that was really used very often. In fact, very rarely. It was used to describe the island sometimes of Britain because it goes back to Roman times when they just called it Britannia and they called the people there Britons. Well, there weren't any Britons. After Rome fell, there weren't any Britons there because the Angles and the Saxons and, okay, historically, supposedly the Jutes came in and kicked them all out. So, yeah, it's a weird type of thing where the word was just pretty much abandoned after the 5th century. And then it pretty much just was used here and there to describe a geographic location now and then. But until that merging of parliaments between Scotland and England in 1707, 1708, then that's when they said, well, we need a new word. Because the Scottish, well, anybody who's seen Braveheart knows the Scottish don't want to be called English. And the English certainly don't want to be called Scottish, so we need a new word to describe us as a group. And they went with the old Roman word and said, well, they can't say that we created that ourselves, so they went with it, British. And it stuck. Now, even then, it didn't get used very much in the 1700s. It was mainly government officials, people like that used it. But gradually it caught on, and by around 1800, it was pretty universal. Everybody used it. It takes about 100 years for culture to change in a location. So historically, because that's when the generation who, the oldest one that remembers it, finally dies out completely. So you get about 100 years and then boom. But by 1800, America was no longer part of this. So that's why in America we kept kind of thinking about it as English, British, same thing. That never really got corrected. So yeah, we kind of use it interchangeably, but in England or Scotland or whatever, they don't really say that. They try to be inclusive and say they're British, and that's how they were taught in schools for the last few hundred years. So that's what they go with. So a little trivia there. So if you hear somebody at a rent fair say British, they're doing it wrong. So now you know. All right. Okay, I got through that, and oh, it's still only 7:16. We're doing fine. See, I can handle this. I might actually make this work. Yeah, I know. I personally was. It actually kind of bothered me to say that the English were, inclusive people. That was, playing Irish music. That just felt weird on many levels. I'm just saying. But in that respect, they were. They really were. They looked at it as a strange thing. And as a little trivia, it was mainly Queen Elizabeth I's fault. When she died and had no heirs, they looked and said, who's her closest relative? And it was the King of Scotland. So he just pretty much packed up and went down to England and said, okay, I'm king now. I'm English. But it created this whole type of thing of, oh, we're kind of on the same side now, which before Scotland had always been supported by France to kind of work against England. So it was a weird change, and it took about 100 years. But by the 1700s, they started looking at merging and becoming Great Britain. So yeah, a little trivia there. So yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I hope you don't mind the little history lesson. I'm done, I promise. But it is, yeah, I found it fascinating because I did not know that before. And that was the fascinating thing I learned in the off season. So I wanted to share. And hey, Mark, great to see you. Great to see you. You're so right, Alicia. Not gonna say you're wrong there. Okay. Oh dear. Yeah, I know. Yeah, James was the Scottish king. That's what she's referring to, in case you were curious. Yes. Anyway. Oh, and speaking of which, this March the 4th is also the anniversary of King James IV of Scotland. So this is going back to 1492 when he concludes an alliance with France against England. So I was saying that France just kind of threw some money at England, or sorry, France threw some money at Scotland to try to just be a thorn in the side of England all the time because it helped them since England was one of their major rivals. So it paid off. Generally did, although eventually they did get together and made England even stronger. So yeah, a little history there. Okay, let's jump into the Faire map real quick. Yeah, here we go. And you'll notice there are only 5 fairs, and it's going to be like that. Not too many fairs for the next few weeks. March surprisingly doesn't have a lot of fairs. It's traditionally it was usually either too cold, so they tended to go, if they were going to go in the spring, they'd start in April, and that's what's going to happen. And late March, you're going to start to get more fairs, and then in April, boom, it goes crazy with more than a dozen fairs. So it really, this is kind of the slow time. So it's kind of interesting how that works. Yeah, I know, you're kind of right. The climate change, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. Okay, the Jutes, okay. Where they got all this from, the whole concept of the history that was taught to British children or English children, or depending on what we're talking about, from about 900 AD all the way to fairly recently. It was always the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes who came in and conquered, these powerful kingdoms. This was all done in the 800s, several hundred years later, and it was very revisionist history. Now historians and archaeologists look at it and say, yeah, that's not how it happened. They wanted to think about their ancestors as being these powerful kingdoms. In reality, it was a trickle over 100 years where these small groups kind of encroached on the English coast and started developing societies, and some little wars probably broke out, but it wasn't some huge, massive armies that came over and conquered everybody. There's no archaeological evidence that that's how it went down. Yeah, it was just a gradual thing over many decades. So yeah, kind of interesting. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Okay, tangent. Good catch. Okay, back to the Faire. Here we go. Faire map. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's jump in here and get the... We've got this. Okay, laser pointer time. We'll start with the Bay Area Renaissance Festival in Dade City, Florida. Yeah, this is the weekend 6 out of 9, and the theme is Artisan Appreciation and Wizards and Wonder Weekend. No, okay, no, I got the wrong one. Got the wrong Faire. I'm reading from the wrong line. So, okay, sorry. Weekend 4 of 7 for the Bay City Renaissance Festival. The theme is Once Upon a Time. So, that was the correction. Sorry. Once Upon a Time. Going down to the Florida Renaissance Festival in Deerfield Beach, Florida. It's weekend 6 of 8. So the Florida fairs just have a few more weekends left. The theme is Scoundrels of the High Seas. Then jumping over to Texas, and I might be biased, but a really great fair, Sherwood Forest Fair. I'm there in McDade, Texas. This is going to be the 2nd of 8 weekends, and they don't do themes there. So for medieval, I get that. Then jumping over northwest of there is the Heartlands Renaissance Festival. This is their first year doing this. This is going to be weekend 2 of 7 in Gustine, Texas. They don't do a theme. It's 7 weekends, and it's a soft opening for every weekend is how they're advertising it. Kind of interesting for a first-year fair to do this. They do own the land. I checked, and I think they're just spending the time kind of working on infrastructure in between the weekends and really getting it going and just fixing what needs to be fixed and doing it right. It's an interesting approach that you don't see very often, so I'll be curious to see how that works out. Normally, fairs start off with 1 or 2 weekends, so it's fascinating. Then jumping over to the Arizona fair, and this is the one I was reading before. It's the weekend 6 of 9, and the theme is Artisan Appreciation and Wizards and Wonder Weekend. Yes, that is a mouthful. They really are getting creative with their themes these days. Really thinking outside the box and going for it. I don't know if that's good, but yeah, I mean, it's at least creative. It is nice to see that they're not all doing the same themes like they did several years ago when they first started really doing themes. So I like that. And there we go. That's the list. 5 fairs, and that is, as they say, all. So, okay. Fair list is done. And now, it's still only 7:24. I'm doing great on time. Let's go ahead and just... let's just try to do an Icarus here, except do it right. Let's just go for the 7 reasons and do that. So let's just say 7 reasons. So yes. Oh, yes. Thank you, Tanya. Yeah, that is true. I did win first place in the solo performer for a singing lane act. So in the Renaissance Festival podcast is a long sort of description, but yeah, I told you about that I think last week and mentioned that that was going on, and I actually did win. So I mean, really, awards ceremonies, they're not really that big of a deal unless you win. So that's so thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, so 7 reasons. Let's see if we can pull this off. 7 reasons why coming back to Ren Fair is tough. Because it is. I mean, when you've been away from Ren Fair for several months, it's tough to get back. So let's see. 7 reasons. Number 7, logistics. It is, I mean, you come back, at the end of the last season, you throw stuff in the back of your closet, you put something away and you don't remember where you put it. Your boots have dirt all over them, and it's all, you got to clean them all like crazy. And then you realize this probably Friday night before you when you're about to head out. So yeah, I mean, there's always those things that crop up at the last minute, and it is a headache. It can always be tough because of that. Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. That's why I brought it up, because my boots. I got some good boot polish, and I'm gonna really try to take care of them and do a good job with that. Yeah, oil and yeah, I'm doing the whole thing. So number 6, and I mentioned this before. Haven't been working out. I mean, yeah, you're used to walking, 12 miles, over a weekend or sometimes over a day. It's pretty crazy how much exercise you get weekend after weekend after weekend. And then you just don't really do that at all for a while. And then all of a sudden you start up doing it again. And wow, it is, I've learned my lesson. It's not going to happen again. Mark my words. No pressure. Yeah, now that I've said it, I have to do it. Okay, number 5, sunscreen. Yeah, now, an interesting phenomenon. It may just be me, but at the beginning of every season, I'll put on sunscreen, and I always miss a spot. For the rest of the year, I get it. But I don't know if it's just because my shows have changed a little bit, and I'm in a different location at a different time, and the sun hits me in a different way than it ever has before. But I always at least miss one spot. And I realize that at the end of that first weekend, and then I'm like, okay, I'll catch that, and I do it extra well for the next weekend, and then I'm good. It's not a problem. But there's that first weekend every year. Never fails. I don't know why. It's always strange. But maybe it's just me. Yes. I don't. That is exactly what it is. That is exactly. Mm. Well, yeah, and that's kind of it. I have the pack basket, and I'm carrying all that too. So it's an extra workout than just walking, definitely. Number 4, food cravings. I mean, that's kind of yeah. you go back and you're just kind of like, oh, great, Faire, yes. Ooh, pineapple ice cream. And you start thinking about all that good stuff that you haven't had for a while, and that's that's always tough. That is always tough. I mean, coming up with what to eat, because you tend to, you're off of those habits that you've created. So that can make it difficult. It really can. Number three, it's emotionally draining. I mean, especially if you're more of an introvert. Suddenly you go out to Faire and hang around people for 9 straight hours or more if you're camping out there, sometimes for the full weekend. And it's very emotionally draining. Not just physically because of the weather, the heat, or whatever. I mean, it can be very overwhelming, even if you're an extrovert. So you really have to watch yourself and pace yourself. Oh, right. Yeah. German food at Scarby. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good examples of that at every fair. Every fair has their own little thing, I think, usually, that is just, wow, that's different. So you got to appreciate that. Okay. Number two, waking up early again. Let's be honest. I was going through those research projects and staying up till 3 a.m. And then all of a sudden I have to go to sleep at 10 and wake up at like 6. And it was that I didn't get enough sleep, definitely Friday night. And Saturday night I was fine, but Friday night, not so much. And I learned it's just that first day back, it always hits me. But then for the rest of the year, I'll be on that schedule and I'm good. So number 1, it's usually the hottest day you've had for many months. I mean, we've just kind of been through winter. And even if in Austin, quote, winter, I mean, it still hasn't been hot. And this last weekend, it got up to 80 degrees. So yeah, that's pretty, I mean, early March. It's wild. I mean, it's supposed to be cooler this next weekend, but that was a bit of a shock to your system. I mean, we really haven't hit that yet. So we're not used to it. You've got to retrain our bodies to be used to heat. So it's rough. It is really rough. So these are what I came up with. And guess what? It's 7:30. I made it. I actually made it. Who knew? The pressure's off. Now I can talk for 15 minutes. No, I'm kidding. But no, really, It was a great weekend. It certainly kicked my butt a little bit, but I had a lot of fun. I got to see some of you and got to enjoy playing music with a lot of different great people. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to the whole year because I'm going to be doing a lot of that this year and traveling a ton. So it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, I'll be able to keep this up and stream on the road. I'm working hard to make sure that happens. So we can continue this and have some fun and keep it up. And okay, so I think I've done all right. Not too bad. We'll try to keep it, around the 7:30 range for the ending of this stream in the future, and not develop those bad habits that I did for the last two shows. So thanks again for joining me, and as always, remember that you can't always have a fair day. You can't always have a fair week, but if you try hard, you can have a fair life. So have a good time, and I will see you next week.